Hey guys, welcome back to Trekyards. I'm Captain Foley.
I am Commander Cookins. I see right through you, Stuart.
I'm glad you said that, because I was going to say we're going to pull out the x-ray machine and take a look at some internal stuff, and you went ahead and just trumped me with it by saying that, but yours is more, figurative than literal. We're going to be taking an interior look at something that's kind of interested us for a while. We are kind of the ships and tech guys. After all.
Yeah.
Kind of. This is the place. Right? This is the thing.
I have a question for you though. Did you notice this first time round?
I did notice it on the screen, and I didn't really pay much attention to it.
Okay.
I thought it was an interesting graphic, but I didn't really take a look at it. Now that I have a screenshot in front of me, it's a little bit different, and I'm sure a lot of the people out there have the same reaction. They probably noticed it, but now they get to look at it in detail, and we get to break it down, and that's what we do here because we're Trekyards.
Exactly what I was going to say. I mean, so many times in Season 1, I pulled one frame, the one frame that revealed it all. There's even a frame later on, and another video we're going to do, that is out of focus as soon as it comes up, but I got the one frame before. But yeah, so this is close to a... Because we've seen, I've mentioned this in a previous video, we saw a side view where it got a sense of deck, so they do have side and top views. That's great. Good. I wish we had some more, because that means they thought it through slightly more than we think they had before. But this is our first real indication. This is pretty fleshed out. And it certainly gives a few areas of distinct proportion. What do you think?
Well, it's hard to really make much out of this. I mean, we have seen it earlier when they focused on the spore drive in the spore room. You see the big round cylinder in the secondary hull, which we got to assume is the main part of the spore drive unit. Here it's in red, although it extends out past the shuttle bay, but it could just be a representation of the field that the thing creates. In the earlier ones that I was talking about, it does take up that whole triangular section. But this one looks like a much smaller one right in front of the shuttle bay there. And those lines coming off of it, the red lines, I think might be the non-visible tie-ins to the mycelial network, the many tendrils that reach out. It's hard to really say what those are specifically, but that's kind of the vibe that I get from it.
It's funny, I was going completely literal, but you went completely figurative. I completely ignored the red thing and looked at all like rooms and you went, what does the red thing mean? I was like, oh, okay.
Well, this season's all about red angels. It
is.
The red globular thing we just ran into, and
yeah, I'll give you that. I just like this graphic because we can see the warp coils.
Yeah.
We can saw actually the warp coils only go so far, and then there's other stuff going on. And guess what? If they stopped at the end of the warp coils, that would be an appropriate length for the warp drive units, the warp engines, the warp nacelles. There you go. That would be great. What the hell is that other bits doing? I'm annoyed by that. But I love that we now know the exact dimensions of the shuttle bay. It's huge. Yes. And I like that that's obviously clearly probably the warp core on the side, because in some iterations of the TOS, I believe Doug's one as well, of the Enterprise, the warp core is directly in front of the shuttle bay because it kind of has nowhere else to be.
Yeah.
And it's not that safe, but hey ho. So this kind of being there, I like, and it's very central, and it means that the spore control drive unit, which actually probably fits into one of those, is just, we know it's sort of looking back at the warp core. It implies that maybe that's looking back at the warp core, and the actual main engineering is the other side of the room, like the other side of the warp core unit. It's just the other side of that coin, but I like knowing sort of where it is, how big it is, at least in my interpretation there.
That's interesting, yeah, because you can see the shuttle bay layout. It is quite large, which is good, because too small a shuttle bay is always a problem. As we saw in TOS, it doesn't really work. It's kind of got that TARDIS effect going on, but that's fine. But the red circle, the inner one that I was saying, could be the spore drive mechanism. I was just wondering, is that above the shuttle bay? No, there's not enough room. Is it below the shuttle bay? Possibly.
Well, there is that lip, so I'd assume underneath, because they were all leveled out.
Just earlier than when we had seen it in season 1, it showed the triangular secondary hull and this huge circle, right, fit perfectly in the triangle of the spore drive. Whether that's literal or figurative, I don't know, but
My assumption is that it works best underneath because then you've got instant the ability to dump the spores. If it's in the middle of the ship, then any system of that is going to be less efficient. So just like having a direct warp core link, it's a massive hangar. It's a massive warehouse style sized piece. So it'd be kind of nice if you just dump that entire thing. And I think there was a sense that when the Glen got destroyed, there was a burn mark on the bottom of the hull from where that could have been. So it kind of I don't know, that kind of links together for me. But I mean, I don't know if they've thought as full to work out where exactly the mycelial tech lives inside the hull beyond there. It's fine.
Yeah, it almost looks like there's two long rooms in front of the shuttle bay there, on each side of a large section. That large section could, of course, be the warp core, and we know in the one episode from season 1 where we see that the spore drive room is the port side. So there could be the two engineering rooms, as you said. One's the actual engineering room, the other one's the spore drive room. And then those red things are just the power feeds showing where they go to specific parts of the ship.
And if you were designing it, I wouldn't be opposed to main engineering, and then because they both need power. Like the spore drive doesn't generate power; it connects to the network. So, linking it direct to the warp core. I mean, yes, it gives Stamets pride of place, but guess what? The ship was built around the spore, so yes, it makes sense. You have the normal warp core, and then you have normal engineering. And if they really wanted to, then they could probably redress their current set, which is a bit lackluster for an engineering room. I think we all know.
Well,
and then just have the flip side of it. So I hope they have a slightly more interesting room when they get to it, but that kind of works for me.
I also find it interesting we never see the chief engineers because he's always probably in the main engineering room. Which a lot of people think that the room we see is engineering. It's not. It's specifically the spore tech room. But it's right off the main engineering room, I have the feeling, or right across from it, like you said, across from the warp core.
Well, they did call out that you are seeing the warp core.
Yeah.
Which is very much linked to TOS. So I appreciate it's funny, they do try small nods. And yet, they never quite get the references quite right. But I just like this because it does give a sense that they've actually thought it through. Because it's such not a... why is it huge? Why is it... if you look at this... I mean, there isn't that many corridors. I'm assuming they're turbolift shafts more than corridors, but there isn't... I mean, I don't get It's big, but when you break it down, I mean, do you think they're corridors? Do you think they're... what is it showing, do you think? Are they power conduits? In which case, there's a lot of them? What do you think we're actually seeing?
It could be, because as we know, there's different overlays for schematics. You can show all the EPS power conduits. You can show whatever. And I think because this is in engineering, that's probably what it's referring to specifically. And the spore drive wasn't online. They did turn it on because they thought they might need to jump away from this thing.
To be fair, as soon as they said they were going to turn it on, shit hit the fan. So I wouldn't say that shit did hit the fan. I did actually turn it on, but they were going to.
Yeah.
It didn't make any difference either way, so I think they didn't quite get to it.
This does look like it could be in the saucer section, at least. That could be the corridors, because we've seen them running or going through those straight ones that connect the outer ring to the inner ring. It looks like there's a corridor there and around the outside, and then larger rooms all throughout the saucer. It doesn't look like there's any quarters per se in the saucer, but this is only one deck, if anything. You wouldn't see all the decks leveled. So it's kind of hard to say what we're looking at. I would like to get more schematic views like this at some point. But
yes, kind of essential.
It's a lot to theorize on, but it's what we do. It's fun.
But it's nice to get a relative sense of scale, because I mean, even if you, and I've zoomed in, if you look at, and this I think is actually, so if you look at the shuttle bay, great. In front of that, you've got the warp core with the two rooms. Either side of that, you've got these two box rooms with two boxes inside them. I'm guessing those might be mycelium stores or antimatter stores, like some functional. It can be fun if two of them are mycelium, two of them are antimatter. One off the other.
We saw how big the arboretum or the mushroom arboretum is. So I could see one of them being with that for sure. The other one maybe is deuterium storage for the the deuterium tanks. I think they'll be fine because there's not a lot of room in that secondary hull for other stuff. Really, because it's not that thick.
It's not that thick. No, it's big, but decks. When you've got multiple floor pieces, absolutely. But I mean, if you think about how they had approached the ship in season 1, it was all designed around the spore drive, which means that yes, obviously they had warp, but you can count how many times they went to warp. On one hand. So I'm fine to say they had limited stores of one to make sure they have enough of each, because they didn't use it much. So I'll get behind that. I just like seeing this sort of stuff because we love fleshing things out, and like it just doesn't take much. And I know that ages ago we talked to John. He was sort of doing something like this in a very vague, like he was starting something like this. I don't know if this is his work, but it's just nice to see because the whole universe feels a little bit underthought through. This one's a better season, but they knew throwing them. This had to be built, designed, thrown in. Very on purpose, but it gives you such a like if you look at the monitors on the bridge, which are holder from season 1, the displays of the ships are just like angled renders that show no information. You know what I mean? They don't mean anything, they don't do anything. And in season 1 even, they were sometimes the old version of the ship because the graphics were so old. This is actually a technical diagram, actually useful, and I think you're absolutely right. I think this is power conduits because you wouldn't show impulse drive units and you wouldn't show the things that use power unless it was all power connected, I think.
Well, you can see the impulse units in this, actually.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You can see the power. So I think this is the power conduit view, which means all that stuff would need to be included. And obviously, this is when they're doing the overload stuff. So this is better thought out graphics, and we want that. I just want to point out, because I liked seeing this, and cut the warp core! Cut the engine, the coils.
Yeah.
It stops. Got it! You've got perfect avenue to make the ship better, to fix it. One of the big, easy, quick fixes would just be do that.
I do want to address something you just said. The older graphics of the Discovery design with the shorter nacelles on the bridge. It's not unprecedented because in Star Trek 3, when they steal the Enterprise and there's a security alert in Spock's quarters, it's still a TOS Enterprise because it's basically the same mainframe, right? It's easy to update a graphic though. But anyway. But that being said, the Discovery was brand new. So did they say that they installed the systems? Anyway, that's a whole other conversation.
No, it's just lazy graphics, people.
No, it's a conversation. We can make it in universe. We can do it. We can fix it. We can explain it. That's what we do.
It's just plug in a new USB with the new updated graphics. Spend that $100 to get the guy to do it, and just put the updated graphics in.
Anyway, on that note, what do you guys think about this ship layout? Any theories you have as to what this represents or anything like that? Let us know in the comments down below.
And if you drew it, please email us at trekyards@hotmail.com. We'd love to talk to you about your stuff. And believe me, we're told a lot of stuff we don't share. So if you do want to tell us bonus things, we'll happily talk and listen. And fun times will be had by all, believe us.
Yes. And as always, if you want to help us out, you can do so by clicking the like button, share the video around. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That's very important. And click the notification icon so you get notified when we upload things like this, when we see little tidbits that you might not notice in your first viewing or your second viewing or your third viewing. We talk about them. So come back and join us for those if you are able. But there's other ways to help the channel as well. And Samuel's going to tell you a little bit about that right now.
I tend to, don't I? It's my job in this lovely show we do. Patreon. The monthly donation scheme. We give a little bit each every month and it supports the channel. Or you can do a one-time donation at trekyards.com, or you can buy cool shirts and other cool items at our Teespring store. Again, this is all down below, all the links. Or support us via buying stuff at Eagle Moss. You love the ships, we love the ships. Buy a ship with our code Trekyards at the affiliate link, and we get cool perks for doing that. So please do. And anything else you want to say?
That's it. I just want to let you guys know that when you come back and talk to us, you can access our social media with the links below as well. Facebook group is awesome. A lot of conversations about this very kind of thing. You can put in your 2 cents worth, and don't forget to join us for lives as well. Lives are very important.
Yes.
You get to interact with us and join the community and have a good time. And we are very transparent. Get it? Transparent, X-ray, see-through, ship. There you go. On that note, dad joke complete. Dad joke achievement unlocked. I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Connor Kongs. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.